Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maya Luria with TMC for Seniors, and we are wrapping up Fall Prevention Month with Reclaiming Confidence, Connection, and Well-Being After a Fall. We have not done this particular topic before, and I'm excited to have Dr. Linda Hollis here with me. She is with the University of Arizona Department of Psychology. How are you, Linda?
I'm great, and I'm happy to be here.
Good. So we've done lots of things together, and I know we reached out and we said, this is something different and about fall prevention that we thought would be very interesting for folks. So I appreciate you putting together a presentation on this. I've gone ahead and put it up. You do have an online audience that's watching from home today, along with an in-person audience. If you're watching from home and you have a question for Linda, please write those in the chat and I will address them afterwards. I'll turn it over to you, Linda.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone. As Maya said, I'm Linda Hollis, and I'm at the University of Arizona, and I'm a gerontologist. I have been in the field since 1991, and been a gerontologist for about 24 years now. So I have worked in the community, at the university. I'm not doing any research because my passion is working with individuals and educating students on aging, and mostly about the myths and what's myth and what's facts about aging for undergraduates. So today I'm going to be talking about reclaiming confidence, connection, and well-being after a fall. I'm going to see how this works here. And we're going to just talk a little bit about the data, the impacts of a fall, the cycle of a fall or falls, our connection. The biggest part of our conversation is going to be right here. And then, of course, we're going to have some time for questions. So let's look at the data. How many of you either have fallen or know someone who's fallen? Yeah, me too. And I'm one of them. So we'll talk about that. So the leading cause of fatal and non-fatal injuries for adults 65 and older are falls. Okay, so fatal and non-fatal, leading cause. 1 in 4 older adults report that they fall every year. So when a lot of times when these polls are asked, have you fallen in the past year? Yes or no? We're looking at 1 in 4 folks over the age of 65 report that they have fallen. Over 50% of those falls actually receive medical care. So we may fall in our home and just kind of out, and then we kind of lift our leg up, ice it, whatever, and then go about our day. But 50% actually end up going to receive medical care. Once we fall, our chance in falling again doubles. So if you have fallen, you're likely going to again fall again. Not necessarily, but that's the chances then go up. The cost of treating injuries caused by falls among older adults is to increase to over $101 billion in just 5 years. Why do you think 2030 is such a hot number that I brought up?
Prices will keep going up.
Prices are going to go up, and the last of the baby boomers will be 65. So in 2030, the younger folks born in the baby boomer generation will be 65. And another fun fact, by the year 2034, so 9 years, there's going to be more people over the age of 65 than under the age of 18. And so I tell my students this all the time of, okay, if you're going into child welfare, change your mind. Come over to see me. There's job security here, because we've seen this change and this demographic grow. And so, yeah, by just a few more years, all baby boomers are going to be 65 or older. Okay, impacts of fall. We mostly think of physical impacts of a fall, right? Injury, reduced mobility, chronic pain, death sometimes. And if death doesn't occur necessarily at the fall, but in the hospital, right? Maybe hospitalized, surgeries, maybe not making it out of a surgery, things like that. So that is mostly what we hear about falls and the impact is the actual physicalness of it. But there's so much more. The other impacts are cognitive. So folks with experiencing mild cognitive decline, actually we see them accelerating in their cognitive decline after a fall. So we are seeing that, and that's often just trauma to the body and to the person. So that is something that we want to pay attention to, right? Cognitively. Emotionally, the fear of falling again, loss of confidence, shame, frustration. Why did I do that? Or I shouldn't have gone to this place. Or I always wanted to get rid of that rug, but I never did. We kind of shame ourselves. Loss of confidence. And then, okay, I like that rug, but I'm not going to go into that room anymore because I have fallen, and maybe not changing it out or throwing it away. Social. Another impact of a fall is the social aspects in our lives. We tend to withdraw from activities. We begin maybe isolating ourselves. And that doesn't mean we're only isolating ourselves or avoiding that activity possibly where we fell, but we're not going to do anything out in the community because of the fear again. And possibly, as we've heard, the likelihood again of falling. So, psychologically, anxiety, depression, loss of self-efficacy, and PTSD. PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Very concerning, and that's like a spectrum. PTSD is at the higher spectrum of a psychological event or emotion within ourselves. So not everyone who falls gets PTSD. I guess that's what I'm trying to share. But it absolutely can happen. Depends on what kind of fall, the severity of the fall, etc. So any comments or questions about this?
Excuse me, I don't see anger up there. And
yeah,
I fell in August, and it wasn't so much me, is the community that I live in had a lot of water on the sidewalk from their overwatering.
Yeah.
And then the grass was so slippery.
Yep.
I went down, and I fell on top of a rock.
Oh.
So I had a lot of damage to
yes.
my elbow, whole left side.
Yeah.
And,
so maybe I put that under frustration, but a little bit more than frustration. It can absolutely lead to anger, especially if it's not in our surrounding, our control. It's somebody else's space.
As you say, if you I've fallen before, and was almost off my cane, doing really well, and now I'm back to using my cane. And still suffering from those falls.
Absolutely.
And, and it's, anger is not the best thing. to have, but,
Could be angry at the situation,
right.
frustration within ourselves. So, yeah,
And,
okay.
and I don't know, just
Keep-
irritating when you live in a community that's not paying attention to their residents
Sure.
instead of watering the grass so much.
Yes.
So, enough.
The grass is beautiful, but
Yeah,
it also
you know
can be
that-
a risk. So I'm going to keep on going on that one. So let's hold off on that. But that's a really good example of, and that's what we're going to talk about today as well. And we're focusing mostly on the emotional, social, and psychological piece of the falls. But like I said, we cannot talk about falls without the physical. So this is a little cycle that we see as falls happen. So here we have the fear of falling. I don't know if this lights up or not. I don't know how to use it. Oh, there we go. Is it? No. So we have the fear of falling. So fear of falling can go two ways. You can just be fearful of it and you fall, right? Could happen. Or you're kind of always fear of falling, because I too have this fear of falling, but then you have physical inactivity because you don't want to fall. Okay. And I tell my students this, I say that, is it a myth or a fact that we should not exercise as we get older due to risk of falling and or hurting ourselves? So I'm going to read the question again. Is this a myth or fact? Should older adults not exercise because of the fear of falling or fear of getting hurt during exercise? Myth. Absolutely, it is a myth. But these are the things that we have to start with. But sometimes when people have that extreme fear of falling, especially if they've fallen again, they're going to reduce their physical activity because they don't want to hurt themselves, re-injure it. Maybe it's a hip, maybe it's a knee, any type of physical activity. They're going to say no because I don't want to hurt that area. Then what happens? We have physical inactivity, and then we have some muscular or cognitive decline, right? If you don't use it, you lose it, right? So then we go there. Then we may get some imbalances because we're not as strong, right, as we were or want to be. And then that gives a risk to a fall. So this is just a cycle of falling. It's not the only cycle, but mostly, and this is like the physical piece of it, right? And then once we say we fall, that's why we also fall again, or the risk is higher and fall again because we end up going through this cycle. So just, again, like I said, I'm not spending a lot of time on the physical piece of falling, but these are some things that you can look at around your house or talk to your doctor. So we have here medication side effects, huge risk of falls. So you want to talk to your doctor, you want to see what side effects that medication has, and or if dizziness or something is not one of them and you're feeling that way, have that conversation with your medical provider. Do our strength and balancing exercise. We have programs here, Tai Chi. Do you guys have yoga as well? Yoga. So all of that is really helpful for us to, again, continue having that strength. Your home, make it right here, safer, night lights, installing grab bars to the bathroom. There are organizations, I believe Pima Council on Aging has some funds that will come in and put grab bars in for you, and if you need some additional supports. Carpets are probably one of the trickiest. They look really nice, but they are a hazard in the home. Even it depends on which kinds you get and stuff, but you just want to be really careful on that. Stand up slowly to avoid dizziness, and that's for everyone. And then obviously there's to use some supports if you have a walker or a cane, just to support you as needed. Often what happens, and then we have your vision checked. What happens in the home, we often use our cane or the walkers in public. But if you're just going from the kitchen to the bedroom, stuff like that, oh, I don't need it. Just revisit that with yourself to see if you really do need it. Sometimes we just get, oh, it's just over there and I can do that. We want to be careful. So that's just some tips to help prevent, again, the physical fall. Okay. Now I said this is continuing, but we haven't even talked about this. Now we're going to talk about the emotional and psychological effects. And we touched on it, right? We said a few things. But first, we want to acknowledge the fall. So this is now after. We're reclaiming our confidence. Because when we fall, we're angry, we're ashamed that why did I do that? Why did I wear those shoes? Why? You know, all of these things. And in order to get our confidence up and to just kind of reclaim ourselves, acknowledge it. You know what? Yeah, I fell. Maybe it was on me or someone else, and I'm scared now. I don't want to fall again. I don't want, maybe that first fall was maybe just a little bit ankle, a twist or something. I'm scared because I don't want to end up in the hospital. I don't want to have a hip replacement. I don't want this. So acknowledge that and say, yeah, this doesn't feel good, but what can I do? You also want to reintroduce activities with support. Like we said before, often isolation happens when we are not, we don't want to go out, because I know some people that maybe have had a fall using a cane would use it in the house, but not outside the house, because they didn't want the image that, oh, I'm frail or I'm old or whatever it is, whatever their self-esteem was. But yes, reintroduce some activities, and at certain levels. I don't expect going, okay, reducing activities, I'm going to go mow the grass after a fall, so to speak, right? If you have an injury, and I know there's not much grass in Tucson, but you know, what you will do is you're going to take these steps, and we're going to talk about like setting goals, setting small goals for yourself. And I don't want to talk more because I have an activity on this one. Celebrate progress. So try not to beat ourselves up that we're setting a goal. It may be small. It may be going from the kitchen table to the fridge, right? After a surgery, a fall, whatever that may be. And when you do that, celebrate it. It's good. Not saying that, okay, that's all I can do today, you know, and get mad at yourself. So what we're trying to look at this optimistically. Another thing is, I'm going to actually stop and I'm going to do this activity. So those of you on the air, no, what is it called? On the web, online. You have these handouts, and we are going to look at, I'm going to hand that one. Yeah. And we're going to look at the circles of support and the ladders. Getting that out. Sorry for the trees today, but it's a nice little takeaway. Okay. So, I have this little ladder here.
Hold them up on the screen for.
Oh, they don't have.
They don't have them yet.
Oh, they don't.
Yes.
Oh.
We'll send them out.
Oh, sorry, everyone. This is the circle of support. So you want to draw like 3 circles. And then this one is a 5-step ladder. Let's talk about the circles. In this circle, and you can do it today, you can think about it, but I want you to have this because this kind of little workshop we're doing is to help us before the fall. Because if we fall, what are we saying to ourselves? Right? Shame, anger, why did I do that? I'm never going to go there. You're not thinking about who my supports are. So as we're here, we want to think about, if we look at this circle, the inner circle, the bullseye, is who would you call if you fell? Who's your first point of contact? Who are your closest supports in this little bullseye? Okay. The next circle are people that aren't in your close support, but they are support. Okay, so more of acquaintances, some friends, some family. Sometimes we have closer friends that may be in this middle, but then we have some other friends. And then this outer circle, this outside one, we look at what organizations possibly are helpful or that you care about. Because the instructions on this are who are the people that bring you strength, laughter, and comfort, and write their names and the organizations. And I do this because this helps with reintroducing activities with support. Who can you call on in your life to then start reintroducing activities? Okay? You don't have to do it by yourself. Who would you call? Right? Which of these friends, organizations would you call to that lift you up, right? Make you laugh, will participate with you in these whatever activities you want to do or what you love to do. Okay? So what are some things maybe that we could see? Let's just talk about this like little circle in here. Who is someone that brings you strength, laughter, and comfort that you feel that you would be able to call up as you begin to reintroduce activities with support? Anybody want to just check? Yeah.
Donna, my neighbor across the street.
Donna, perfect. A neighbor, excellent. Yes. And these are the conversations that you guys can even have after today is, hey, Donna, or maybe you guys have that agreement and know that we're here for each other, whatever that may be. But often people will not call Donna when they have fallen because of, I don't want to put burden on them. I don't want to burden anyone. I don't want to. But that's why you have this to start thinking about, Donna, I am going to burden you because I'm ready to reintroduce myself to activities. Any questions about this? Yeah.
Does it have to be someone in town or can it be someone outside of town?
Outside of town, anywhere. Who would just kind of lift your spirits if you were to have a fall. And this kind of goes to any type of injury and stuff like that. Of course, we're focusing on falls today, but yeah, who could you call on the phone and talk to that would brighten your day? And you can even share about how you were introduced to activities. So part of that is to show that you're not alone, that you want to look at who is in your circle. Because again, if something happens or a fall, that's the last thing, who am I calling, right? So we kind of start thinking about it now when we're well, and so when it happens. So another thing is this confidence ladder. This confidence ladder. As you look at it, what we can do is, and maybe some of you can even do this now as you're building up your strength and stuff after a fall. One small realistic step on each rung of the ladder. So write one thing, like what can you do today that will get a small goal that you can attain? Okay, what would that be? Might be from the table, the kitchen table to the fridge, maybe without my cane or without support. That's the step one. And then as you go up this step, then you see your progress. And then you just set whatever goals work for you and in your life. But don't forget to celebrate the progress. So you might I would put the goal here, like walk to right here in the rung, walk to the fridge from the table without support. That's what I'll say. And then if you get there, what are you going to do? Celebrate. I'm going to the fridge and I'm going to eat ice cream. Because that's how I'm celebrating my progress. If I'm walking from the table to the fridge, I don't want an apple. I'm going something else. So, and I'm saying that obviously as a joke, but anything that makes you, that will, again, lift you up, give you more confidence. And then your next step, then you would put it under goal 2. What would that be?
Eating the ice cream.
Eating it, right. And putting the dish away in the... But so this is just a little fun thing to start, again, thinking. And of course, it's hard to fill this out today unless, you have fallen or you hurt yourself or you're working towards goals. But this is just a nice way and why I share this is because it doesn't mean we have to go run a marathon 5 weeks after a fall, right? And I'm being facetious, but you don't have to go from 0 to exactly where you were in a couple weeks. But sometimes, do we want to? Of course we do, right? Because a fall is a setback. So, any questions about this one? No?
No, and I'm thinking too, probably one of the goals would be so that you don't put yourself in isolation mode, is to find a way to be with someone, be with friends, family, or something.
Yes, great comment. And if you didn't hear it online, is that it just to help reduce or don't get you into being isolated. And that's what this can be too. It doesn't have to be physical goals. It can be mental and emotional goals too, that I'm going to call whoever every Wednesday and tell jokes, or I'm going to Zoom someone or Skype. I don't think Skype is a thing anymore. WhatsApp or FaceTime, whatever that is. It can be also emotional because the idea is to, going along with this, who is positive in your life, right? That will give you joy, especially when we're down. Okay. Here. Let's look at emotional and psychological again. What else do we have? Short affirmations. Okay, I'm going to give you another piece of paper here. What's a short affirmation? What would that be possibly? Oh, yeah. Okay. Thanks. Well, I'll let you guys look at. Well, I'll take one for the people in the short affirmations. So
I can do this.
I can do this. Yes, very good one. Absolutely. And I have this worksheet, and people like, oh, affirmations, they don't work. They're, it's all fluffy and stuff like that. But as we know, social learning theory or self-fulfilling prophecy, have you heard that term before? Self-fulfilling prophecy is, one that I use that people like will look in the mirror and they're saying, oh, you're so ugly. You're so ugly. I'm so ugly. I'm so ugly. Guess what's going to happen? What are you thinking? And then your actions, you believe that you're ugly, right? So, and it is called, it's a part of it. It's self-fulfilling prophecy, or it's also called like a social learning theory, that you're going to end up doing what you're doing. Like if you hear it. So I'm ugly, I'm ugly, I'm ugly. You're going to believe you're ugly, which no one should ever say that. So it is, there is evidence based on this. So some of these, this handout is to create our own affirmations, because you can buy little affirmation cards. There's, books that are very uplifting and stuff like that. But after a fall, do you think that if I come to your house after you fall and say, oh, let's do some self-affirmations, what are you going to tell me? Probably, get out. I am in pain. I am hurting, whatever. You don't want to hear it then, right? So the purpose of these handouts are to complete them when we're well, right? And then it's like, okay, so when we're well, we're thinking about it, we're saying it, we're believing it. Then when you're kind of in that bad space after a fall, you can be like, oh, yeah, I can do this. I am more than. I bring. What do you bring into society, to your friends, to organizations, to your life? Is this hard for anyone to think of things like this? Okay, self-affirmation. Oh, good. What are some maybe? So I can do this.
I'm getting stronger and stronger every day.
Yes, or I am strong.
Yeah.
I am strong. Yes. Because you're going to be strong on that day one, and you will be getting stronger. But if you say, I am strong, it's very powerful. Yeah. Go ahead.
I bring resilience.
I bring resilience. I love that one. Absolutely. Resilience, key, as we're looking at emotional and psychological well-being after a fall. Anyone else have anything? And online, folks, you can share once we're done too. I'd love to hear some of this. So again, some people don't believe in this. Very powerful work on self-affirmations. Express gratitude. And this is going to go to our next one, I believe. Okay, let me see. I'll just put them all. Okay, because I want to talk about gratitude, promote self-compassion versus self-criticism, and an optimistic outlook goes a long way. So these kind of fall together. Mindfulness and relaxation to reduce anxiety is great. We're not practicing that today because I didn't want us to fall out of our chairs. I didn't want us to be so mindful that we're going to be so relaxed. So I'm going to skip out on the mindfulness and relaxation to reduce anxiety. But one thing I do want to share, after a fall, is it correct in me saying that it's stressful? You agree? A fall is stressful. It's physically stressful. It's stress to our body. Again, emotional, psychological well-being. So when you have anxiety plus stress often equates to panic. So I'm not diagnosing, but so anxiety is just being anxious, but to put stress on that, it exacerbates the anxiety. Same with some people too may have some depression after a fall. Depression is sadness plus stress can lead to depression. So we have to be careful with the stress piece of it. So that's why mindfulness and relaxation is extremely helpful. You can get little videos and stuff and apps out there on YouTube or on your phones. I think I Am Calm or Calm is one of them. So those kind of reduce our anxiety so you don't get possibly into full panic mode. Express gratitude and an optimistic outlook goes a long way. Those go together. So I believe, I don't know, was anybody here on my last talk? I think it was it in the spring maybe? Was it? And we talked about optimism and pessimism. And people who are more optimistic in their lives have a healthier life and more longevity. Proven. So this goes to here. How can we be optimistic? How can we express gratitude? Be compassionate towards yourself versus I'm dumb. I shouldn't go here. I shouldn't do this. How can we shift it? Okay. Part of it is through affirmations. The other part is through what I call joy mapping. And this is another piece of these papers. Just revisit what makes me smile. What calms me? What makes me feel alive? And what do I look forward to? Again, if I have fallen, am I thinking about all this? Oh, what makes me happy? No, not at all. So this is something that I would like you to think about at home so you have it. And have it someplace so you can be like, when you're not smiling at all because you're frustrated, you're angry, all these emotions that may come with falling, pain, that's a physical feeling. We're not thinking, oh, what makes me smile? Often not, right? We go back to the self-criticism. Why did I do this? Or blame someone or be angry at someone. So then you can just pull out this. And it's just a good reminder. And again, I'm applying this to falling because it's Fall Prevention Month and things like that. But it's always a good practice anyways when we're feeling frustrated or upset or whatever that may be. And then, of course, as you're feeling better, engage in meaningful roles, get back to your hobbies. I know many people who have fallen or in a situation and they drop everything. Maybe that's one step. Maybe if you have a hobby room, right, or a craft room, it's going there to do a craft. That could be part of your ladder. How rewarding is that? It's a hobby because you like it, right? So when you think about that ladder, don't forget about yourself and engagement and social engagement. Oh, there you go. Social re-engagement and support. So get yourself back out there. Often difficult, right? However, this is why we have our circle, because we can go back to, you are thinking about when you're well, who brings you joy? And so again, who are you calling for social outings or just visiting, even on the phone? So along with these little handouts and stuff, again, I said to complete them when you're feeling well and good, and have them around you if something were to happen, and or share it with your friends too, right? Share this with them and say, oh, we should make a list of what makes us happy, or we should talk about it, and what do you do? What do I do? And so if something happens to me, you should come over and make your peach pie or peach cobbler or whatever, if that makes you happy. Maybe I'm hungry, I don't know. But anyways, practical tips. There is I'm going to see if I can open this. There's a fall prevention checklist. And I don't know if I just cut it off for the people at home, or online. So the CDC, and you guys can pull this up, it's a little bit more in depth. So if you go to Center for Disease Control and Prevention, these are just some ideas on things that you want to look at in your, oh, it didn't work. Oh, sorry. So I'm just talking away and. Oh,
Great.
wow, that's fancy. So if you go to the CDC, I'm not going to stay on this very long, so I might have to have you help. So, light bulb, kind of literally what we just talked about at the beginning, but a little bit more specific, just as a FYI. So I wanted to show you that. Again, it's from the CDC. Yep. But I didn't want to print this one out today. A matter of balance. Has anyone heard of a matter of balance? Yeah, good. Have you done it through PCOA?
Yes, and in fact, I signed up for it again.
Good.
The first time I did it, you get a booklet with all the exercises, and each class lasts half hour, and you do the exercises. Simple, but very, very effective.
Yes.
I was amazed.
Yes.
And so after this terrible fall, physical therapy doesn't work for me. But this matter of balance class was excellent.
Yeah.
And then you've got 15 people in the class and it helps. But that.
And it's kind of a support too, because you're all there. The matter of balance. So I know PCOA does those classes, and it goes back to strength building, balance, core, like we said, Tai Chi, yoga, all of those are good. And then these practical tips that I shared with you today that you can also work on for, again, the goal is to reclaim your confidence and the connection with others. Do not, and it may be hard to try not to social isolate yourself. So these are, again, some of the things that will help us emotionally and psychologically just regain our confidence. And that's what it is, and well-being. So, before we have questions, because I'm leaving about 15 minutes for questions and just conversation, falls don't define us. They can be the beginning of renewed strength. Okay? So they do not define us, but they can be the beginning of renewed strength. And I just want you to sit with that, because as we look back at that cycle of the fall, right? And it's just going around and around and around. If we're optimistic, we bring optimism into it after a fall. Let's break that cycle and continue to be engaged with your friends, family, community. Do what you like to do. Do not let that fall define you. So that is my portion, of the meeting presentation.
Thank you, Linda. So I did have a couple of questions that came in online that I wanted to ask. Do you have any tips for how to ask your friends or family for support after you've fallen? Maybe without making yourself feel like you're a burden, right? Because I think that's the burden piece is huge for folks. And I get that. You don't want to trouble somebody.
Right. Yeah, great question. And I think that is part of us turning in forward, like looking inside ourselves and I need help, and say it. What's the worst that they're going to say? No, I'm busy, right? Or no, you're a burden to me. Be honest with ourselves. And I get everyone is busy, but your family and friends don't know what they don't know unless you ask. And it might be hard for some people. However, we need to take care of ourselves, right? And hopefully, as you build that circle of your connections, that inner circle, you have already that understanding and kindness and love for one another without the burden. So.
Okay. And then sort of related to this, but on the flip side of things, if you want to help somebody who maybe needs to get their confidence back after falling, how do you bring up that kind of a conversation with somebody? Because, people do have a lot of pride and that maybe not something that they want to discuss.
Yeah. Ask them. Again, going back to because you may be in someone else's circle, right? Mm-hmm. In that. And so have those conversations in the sense of, what can I do to help? Or, hey, I'm going to the grocery store. I'm going to grab some groceries. What do you need? And very seldom, or they may say nothing, or you're opening that invitation to, yeah, actually, I need some milk, or yes, I need some eggs. So if you are in someone's circle, it can go both ways, right? Mm-hmm. That they trust you enough to be in, and I'm saying in the circle, they trust you enough that ask them, but don't be too vague. Like, oh, can I help you with anything? They're going to say no. Or, I'm going to the store. What groceries do you need? See the difference? Mm-hmm. Or, I'm going here. Or, I'm going for a drive to da-da-da. Can I drop you off somewhere? Oh, your daughter lives there. Or whatever that may be. So, there's
something almost a little more subtle to sort of bring it out.
And specific.
Yes. And I was going to say, we had another question saying, if you feel like you're stuck in an anxiety spiral related to a particular event, maybe you fell at the grocery store and maybe you're afraid to go back, mm-hmm. How do you get your mind out of that state?
Sure. Yeah. Well, some of the handouts that I gave today, right? Some of the affirmations, some of the meditations, some of that. So your friends, you can do, what else did we say? Like what calms me, the joy map, like pull these tools out and actually practice them because, like I said, it may even get to a point, or depends on your fall, you can have PTSD. And if your circles aren't giving you what you need, you can also go to professional, help as well. It's never too, we talk about pride, and generationally, you talk with a Gen Z, and I do this a presentation on multi-generations in the workplace. And Gen Zs are known to be that having mental health days, that they just like, I can't come to work, I need a mental health day. Where we have traditionalist, silent generation, baby boomers, it wasn't such a thing. So I know that there's stigma around, asking professionals too for support, but we have to take care of ourselves. And at what point do we just like, yeah, I physically, emotionally cannot go to that store. And we got to work through that, because can you go to a different store? Yeah. But if it's any store, because if it's psychological, there's a lot, we can get professional help as well.
Sure.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. I had another question here about, well, not one was more of a comment about inspiration. She says this is her inspiration rather than her affirmation, but she has a magnet that she keeps on her refrigerator door. It just reminds her to do everything with deliberation and not to rush. And so I just wanted to share that because I think that's important for everyone. The last question that I had.
I just want to add to,
Yes.
Do everything with intention. And that goes a long way at any time. So I love that statement. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. The last question was, how important are nutrition and bone density to the severity of injury after a fall?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. And that's why I'm in the psychology department and not in the medical, because, and that's why I wasn't focused too much on the medical and that part of it. But we do know bone density decreases as we age. So there's a lot of factors, and that is often too a concern of falling, because falling as say a 17-year-old or breaking an ankle as a 17-year-old, the journey of recovery is not the same as breaking an ankle as a 70-year-old. And that's just biologically.
Right. And I will refer this one back. Also, we do have a presentation that we just provided on fragility fractures. And so that might be something, if you want to reach out to us afterwards, we're happy to send you the link to that presentation, because that might also help to answer some of those statistics and information that they're looking for. So Linda, I want to thank you so much for being here. I'm going to wrap it up with our online audience. I'm going to turn it over to you for any questions in person, but I love having you here. We look forward to seeing you again on our next topic.
Great. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks so much for being here. We are going to be back tomorrow morning, and that is for Feed Your Bacterial Partners, a science-based guide to energy and health. That'll be on Wednesday, October 1st at 10 a.m. If you're interested in that class, you can always give us a call. The phone number is 520-324-1960. And we hope to see you then. Thank you.